See, we're recording now, Oscar.
Okay, so
Okay.
Oscar, forget it. So is this the show with the crafts and it's not just 2D?
Yes, yes.
It's just craft.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Because it's
photography
always
is not allowed in the original Rittenhouse show.
because yeah, it's been on my radar.
It's not an art form.
There's a
What?
lot of jewelers that did well, I have to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I really miss Craft Boston. I miss it. Never came back, after COVID, and I'd like something to bring me to the East Coast. I've got things to do, people to visit.
You know the problem that I didn't feel unsafe in the at the city,
Hmm.
but the thing that turned me off about the show, we finished the show. Friday was Friday, Saturday
Uh-huh.
rain all day long.
Uh,
Sunday we got some activity. I ain't selling something at a highly deep discount. So
oh,
that even turned me off from doing the show
right.
again.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
And then to make the matters worse, they have Palestinian protests going on starting
Protesters.
at 4:30. Right, the starting line was between me and my neighbor Jill. My neighbor Jill
Uh-huh.
is Jewish,
Uh,
got glass, fused glass, and she have a lot of menorahs,
oh,
David Cross, and you can. It was the most irresponsible thing that we didn't know that was going to happen.
right.
They have a lot of
Did they
undercover police
did they
and
break
everything
her,
in there. What?
pardon? Did they
No,
break her work?
no. It was nothing like that. There was a lot of
Oh,
police and everything else, but it was
right.
really net-wracking,
Hence.
tense.
Of
It can
course.
explain why most people the show was really lighted attended overall.
Yeah, I understand. Oh.
So it probably
Mhm.
wasn't the news, but because local, you didn't know.
Right, of course.
Uh,
Right.
so I don't know. I really don't
Hmm.
know.
Right. Yeah,
You know,
so
it
much
it,
strife.
it so it was feeling weird to the whole weekend.
Yeah.
So, but I think also I discovered a lot of things about what's going on with the show, why the guild lost the show, why it is what it is now, and
Uh-huh.
I need to left the. I personally think that I'm going to live at least
Hmm.
a year off of don't do the show
Hmm.
for a year
Uh-huh.
to see how it works out. But I really also, the people that bring it craft wise in there, it's
Hmm.
becoming mostly, there's still some stuff that you can tell it's buy and sell,
Uh,
and the quality is not that,
right.
it's not there, you know.
Hmm.
The main reason why
Hmm.
the guild lost the show was because I, according to Chris, it become a money grab, and they have only said that 120 artists
Uh-huh.
in the block. They only have 60% was real artists, the rest was buy and sell.
Oh, hard to
They
compete
allowed
against
that
that.
in, or they didn't know?
What?
They allow that officially, or that's just what happened?
For what I was told was, and I shouldn't be saying this in here, that's what I don't want, because it's a dare say. It's not what I heard. It's nothing verified, but so there's two fractions in the guild. The one that control the money, the other one that controls the artists, and the people that control the money override the people that would do the artist selection. So they was letting a lot of people that shouldn't be in the show, and then the people that run the fine art show really has the final say what show goes in the square or not. So Chris asked them to show the list of the artists for the fall show, and he told you have to take all these people out, or you're not going to get a permit to do the show. And just got ugly. Maybe for the best, but so we'll see what happening, but it's an ugly mess.
It's a long way for you to go. Oh no, it's not that far for you to go. I mean,
It's 13
far enough,
hours.
but yeah.
You know, I might still do the fall again if Virginia Beach goes well. But I definitely don't want to apply to Cottonwood Fall and then apply to Bayou City, because none of these two shows are not any better than what these two can be over here. So
Yeah, every time I think about applying to Bayou City, I read some posts like
Yes.
about what a disaster it is, and I go, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
yeah, it's the people that run. That's another organization that runs that. The people that run that show really, and Houston is not a good market for me, so I don't even want to even risk it. So,
What you said originally, it was just crafts, but not art, so it's changed now?
No. When the Pennsylvania Guild ran the show, there were a lot of artists that did it that couldn't get into the regular Rittenhouse Square show. It was a mix, like all their shows are. I mean, my friend Gary, who's a really high-end fine art photographer, who's no longer with us, he used to do it with the Pennsylvania Guild show because the regular show didn't allow photography.
yeah, and the photography, I don't know. It's and the photographers that in there, then they don't have anything what I call high scale. Like everybody in there, I feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm out of place. Like it's not even. I don't say that I'm better than anybody in there, but I don't have nobody in there really that.
Maybe you're more expensive than everybody there.
Yeah.
But that's just a perceived value.
Yeah. So that's what I stand. But there's people with money in there, so it's totally worth to give it a try. I would give it a couple of years try and see how it goes, and then take it from there. But the hotels are also ridiculously expensive.
Well, you got to sleep in your truck.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Or at a friend's house, if you have friends that live in the area.
No, you really, for the October show, you really want to stay in the downtown area. You don't want to leave the area because they said race on Friday, they said race on Sunday. It's a nightmare to get in every day if you're coming from out of town, out of the downtown area. So you really want to stay in the area. And the problem that I had this weekend was that the gym didn't have hot water. So it was really hard to take a cold shower every morning. So
Wake you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Saturday night I went with my friend Jana to have dinner. And I asked him, can I take a shower in your hotel room? And I told her what was going on. She told me, sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I used to take showers in people's rooms, and I let people take shower in my room when I had a hotel.
Yeah. So she let me do it. So that was on Sunday. But I couldn't do 3 nights in a row with cold shower. That's not.
No, you need to coddle yourself with all
Hey,
the work of a show.
But at least you didn't have to wash your hair.
Oh, thank God. Uh,
So where's Barry?
Yeah,
Besides behind me.
it took it back. He told me he's going to come. I talked to him yesterday.
I'm gonna call him and remind him.
You never call me and remind me.
Well, you always show up.
well, so does Barry usually.
Well, but Barry's on the road.
Oh,
Well, I got booted out of art fair reviews.
Again?
Really?
No, I quit the first time. I got booted this time.
Wait, wait.
What?
This is
Why?
plural? Is that what you mean?
I
What'd you do now?
I just simply replied to a post and
Which post?
I replied to the post about the art show juries, and I said I needed to clear up some misconceptions about the artist advocacy organization that's being accused of, I think I used the word nefarious things.
Nepotism.
And I said, it's just like less than a dozen artists on the board. That is the organization, and that we don't have ties to any shows. And I talked about the few things we've done lately, and
Hey, 20 years ago, they could have owned 24% of Zap.
yep, I know.
So,
So,
I saw that post. There's nothing wrong with that post.
yeah, it didn't last 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
What
before it
about the
was-
Really?
post where somebody said, can I upload images that are watermarked? And I replied to it, no, it's supposed to be a blind jury. I was expecting Mark to put his 2 cents in at that point.
he
Oh,
went-
that one. Oh, that one. I thought you meant the other art fair review.
he went off on his, twice yearly rant.
Oh, let me see. I haven't been on for a while. I have somebody here all day.
He went off a couple days ago. I posted this last night. Like I said, it didn't last 10 minutes before it was gone. I wish we had, 10% of the power that he thinks Naya has.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
He does this every spring and every fall when he doesn't get into a show.
I'm gonna get into Coconut Grove this year, and Robin, the director from the show that I just did, she reviewed the show, and the comment that Camille did last week that she got 300 perfect scores. It took me like wow, that's impossible. So I asked if that actually, she said I think she's overstated or heard the wrong thing about it, but you're not going to get to it. It will suck that I don't get to Coconut Grove, but I will, hopefully I get to Adi Grad, and I'm fine with that. But the thing, I don't care how good you are or you think you are, it's you should not be able to get to every single show when that's not happening. And
There are some artists that are that good. I think there are some artists that are that good.
no, but I understand that, Court. I'm not saying the opposite of that, but it's if you have, no matter how good you are, you cannot have 100% rate entries. You should have at least 1 or 2 shows that you cannot get in every year. it cannot be 100% because something 100%, then I don't care how good you are. That's statistically, it should not be happening. You know, you should be able to, you should get rejected at least one show out of the top 10. You know, if not, you're just going by reputation and you're using the same jurors for all the same shows over and over and over, and you're picking up the same people over and over and over, which is probably the better way to say it, and then saying that that people are getting
There are a
in
lot
by
of good
favors.
there are a lot of good people that don't get in.
Yeah, there are
Basically.
a lot of good people that don't get in.
No, I don't say that, but you know what? If you say that, that's normal. I don't expect anything different. But you cannot say to, and that probably should be the argument to say, not to, and to him. Like I know, for example, let's talk a perfect example. Will Armstrong. Will Armstrong didn't get to Fort Worth for last year, and he always get into Fort Worth, but he didn't get in last year. So that happens, you know. But
It
and it
happens,
sucks. Same thing with
you know, it happens. But there's some artists that, you know, they're just really good. They're really good
Yeah,
at
but
what they do.
But there are more than really good for the slots available. That's what I would argue. You know, there's not just a finite of the really good.
Okay, so say that. Let me put it to you this way, Allison, or in court. If you have 20 really, really good, I mean, really, really good painters, I call it painters, right?
Mhm.
A category, and you only have 12 spots to fill up the show, and they all apply to the same 10 shows, and all the 10 shows have 12 spots. It's impossible that the 12 people get into every single show of those 10. If that
I agree
happens,
with
something
you.
is wrong with the process.
I agree with you completely.
But
You know.
that's
That's
not,
what I
don't see
mean.
I don't see that happening anywhere.
But that, you know, Court, you don't see that, but that's what Mark thinks. And sometimes I'm going to tell
Well, you know what? He's paranoid, and who cares? I mean, don't
No,
even deal with him.
but that's still, you guys are missing the point.
No, I know
Okay.
the point. I will tell you exactly what the point is.
No, wait.
No,
Let
but Mark
Oscar
has-
finish, though. Let Oscar finish. He was on a.
It's I just telling you, there's no, from me talking to other artists, they all feel a little bit like Mark, but they don't think that the strength of Mark. They always think there's a little bit unfairness, but they all think it's normal.
Well, you know what? Do you know why the same people get into the top shows?
I don't know.
Because they're the top artists. They're tops at what they do. You know, look at sports. Look at
But Court, the argument is that if there's 10 spots, there's more than 10 of like the top people of what they do, and people who are on magazine covers and got lots of press still get rejected from shows. So, you know, all things being equal, you would think there would be variation rather than, and I don't think we're saying it's the same 10 people or whatever the number is.
I think there is some variation, and I think a lot of these people don't apply to a lot of shows. I think they have a set number of shows they apply to. They apply to fewer shows. And because they apply to fewer shows, I think their entrance rate's a lot higher. I am tired of listening to people
Wine.
who, well, that's one thing, but I'm tired of listening to artists that don't understand that when I get rejected, yeah, I don't like it. It doesn't feel good. But when I get rejected, especially if I get several rejections in a row, then I step back, I look at my jury images, I look at my work, and I look at several things. And I figure out, because I know something's wrong. So I try and fix what's wrong. And what's wrong is on my end. It's not on the show end. And to sit there and have that problem
Can't
and to
fix what's
blame
broke.
the shows for your inadequacies as an artist isn't fair. It's not right.
Yeah, but you know, the other thing that I don't argue that point with you, okay? I just saying to you the other thing that some artists are saying that keeps like for let's talk about Florida because it's the most blunt thing to that you see it more clear over there. The people that do the on-site jury, most of the time is the same people over and over and over. And the people that get the awards usually are the friends of the jurors or the people
That's
that,
not true.
But we're talking about two different things, Oscar. We're talking about two totally separate
But
things.
it's the same. I just telling you, the only show that I know that doesn't do the same juring for people is the. I just give you samples. Because it goes across, and that's. But you know, that's
Okay, and
I just-
first of all, Florida is its own world. It does things differently. All the shows in Florida do things differently. And I don't even consider what happens in Florida to be any indication of what goes on in shows in the rest of the country. So I don't care what happens in Florida.
Well, that's the. I have to put it to you this way, but that's a bad attitude about it because it's the same. There's no difference between the Florida, how the shows are run in Florida, and the shows that run in any other place.
Okay,
They all
you show
use
me
the same
you show
base.
me another show in the country that has 5 and has as much prize money as some of the shows in Florida do. Show me another tell me another show in the country that hands out that much money in prizes.
Well, it could be because they get better sponsors. That's plain and simple. Because all the money
No,
gets
that's not it. That's
Then what is it?
So what
Somebody's,
is it?
giving that money.
it, every show has a budget. And there's things in that budget that they decide that this is something that we won't scrimp on or we will scrimp on. And, we're going to have to, they have things in that budget they're going to fund fully. And it seems that the prize money at some of the shorter flow shows has a higher priority for funding than it does at other shows.
because that's the only way you can bring to some of the shows, some of the artists that's here in Florida, to be honest with you, some of the art shows, they're gallery artists. They should not be doing art shows. That's the only reason why they got the award money. You rarely see David Figueroa outside of Florida. And I think he's one of the best artists in the
Then you just, Oscar, you just are making arguments for my point that the Florida shows are different and they're their own animal.
Well, because because they have the sponsor to put the money. They collect a lot of money for the awards. It's plain and simple like that. Every single show, there's some shows like I do Bonita Spring. They don't have no money. The award money is $100, $200. So
Yeah, they do.
for money like
I won prize money
Gasparilla? No, what I'm talking about for award, Barry. Award money for Gasparilla is insane. The award money
Does anybody here know? Wait a minute.
I lost you. But the money they put in the shows, but I just telling you.
Okay, Oscar, I guarantee you if a show like Cherry Creek or St. Louis wanted to do that level of prize money, they would find the sponsor. It's not a matter of they can't find it. It's a matter of they don't want to find it. They don't think it's important.
Well, that's the model.
That's the model in Florida. That's why it's different.
Yeah, then that's fine. But I just telling you the same.
Hey, Barry,
You're having the same problems. I just telling you that don't think that's just Mark thinking that way. Mark just is the loudest voice and those people saying that, but he's not the only one that thinks that way. So other people just take it like okay, it's how it is. It is what it is, which is different. But don't think for a minute, then there's only Mark's thinking that way.
Well, then what? Okay, then what do people think should be done? What's the better system?
I still think that you need to have an artist, and
Because most of the juries that that I've seen lately are half artists and half local art professionals. It's half and half.
no, I don't. I think honestly, if you do a jury pool, I think that you should try not to use the same jurors. I'd say, let me put it to you this way. I think that because they talk to each other, say that the top 10 shows don't use the same. Des Moines doesn't use the same people to jury than the people of Cherry Creek, and it's all different people. They make sure that it's not the same jurors.
Well, a lot of times, I mean, there may be a crossover of one or two people, but we're not talking about we're talking about 3 or 4 artists. We're not talking about 3 or 4 artists that go jury all the shows. It doesn't happen. You might have at most 2 of the same artists at 2 shows, and you might have 1 artist at a couple or 3 shows.
And the people that do, if you got artists doing the show during the process, they shouldn't be part of the show. That is the one thing I will tell you that for sure. That's the one thing that Camille got right about it. If you're an artist, you shouldn't, and during the show, you should not be doing the show.
You having a problem getting on?
Well, I know some shows, if you jury the show, one of the group of artists they choose to jury from are people that already have booths because they won an award.
They should not be there.
Why?
That's my opinion.
They're like a shopping.
But Oscar, if somebody wins an award, then they may be invited to jury, but they already won the award, so they have.
That's true, but in my opinion is, if you're going to be part of the show, you won an award, the only thing that should be exempt you from jury and be invited automatically to the show. You shouldn't be jurying other artists.
Why shouldn't they be a juror? I don't understand.
The one
because it's going to create
chains all over the country.
A biased opinion. It's all our perspective. You might not like it, but it's how it is. And you might say, shake your head, but that's how it is.
I don't understand how, if I win an award in a show, how am I going to be biased if I get asked to jury that show? What's my bias?
Right.
You tell me.
I know you won't.
All right.
Okay, but that's the perspective.
What would any artist bias be if they were in a show and if they won an award and were asked to jury that show for the next year? What would their bias be? Because I don't understand.
I just telling you.
Wait, let him. Okay, Court, let him answer because I'm curious too.
I just think that it's what they're going. It's not necessarily. What I'm telling you, it's not my perspective. I'm just telling you from talking to people and not defending anybody.
But what's the bias?
They're going to start inviting their friends and give court. It becomes like a.
But one juror cannot make the show. That's the thing.
Yes,
you could vote for all your friends, and your people still will not get in because there's other jurors too.
That's true with the exception of St. Louis.
So,
Can you explain that? Can you explain that?
Okay. Yeah.
The way St. Louis juries is you get a yes, no, maybe.
Yeah, I know. I saw.
And if you get all no's, then you're eliminated.
Hey, Barry just called me. He's having a problem getting a good signal. He's in the mountains in North Carolina. He said the reason Gasparilla has that really high prize money is because somebody endowed that money to the show years ago to ensure they'd get good artists applying. So it has nothing to do with sponsors.
But Allison, if you have one juror you can get 4 no's and 1 yes and still get in the show in St. Louis. So yes, 1 juror can keep you in a show in St. Louis. It's a lot more difficult when you have numbered scores.
Right. Okay.
I
And
just thought, yeah,
like
finish.
Fort Worth, the first round of Fort Worth is not scored. The first round at Fort Worth is just yes, no.
Oh,
No
right.
nays.
So you eliminate people right then.
Yes.
Mhm.
The idea is to go through and get rid of all the people that, well, let me rephrase that. The idea is to go through and make a big cut to the field, because you know that there are a lot of people whose work just isn't up to par for that show. And it's nothing against the artist. It's just that, there's better work out there. So they go through and make that big cut initially, and then they come back and have, fewer entries, fewer applicants that they have to score.
Right. And that's where it gets really hard.
Yes.
The thing
But I'm
is,
going to tell you-
Oscar, excuse me, Oscar, the thing is, a non-artist juror can also be biased, especially one could argue, well, because certain amount of them are local, they might know some of the local artists applying, or, so you can argue. I mean, the truth is we're relying on jurors to be, fair. And so I don't think it matters if it's an artist who won an award or, other jurors. There are jurors who might have a bias, I don't know, against black and white photography. And
That's going to be, but what I'm saying to you is not that. I don't think if you let me just put it to you let's spell it out. I don't think anybody in the NIA is going to be doing a bias thing. Okay, I just think that most of the people in there are pretty honest, straightforward. Let's get that out of there.
Well,
Okay.
first of all, okay, I know who's on the board. I'm not sure that anybody on the board other than Will's wife juried a major show this year.
No, that's. But I just listen. Okay, let me just throwing a bone to the NIM board. I said that nobody in that group is going to be biased if they get asked to be jury. Okay.
the truth, we just have
let
to
me
trust
finish.
people at a certain point. All right.
Let me finish. Okay. But you don't want to. I don't want people to get the crazy idea. There's always a favoritism or something going on behind the scenes that is done all the time. That's the only thing I'm saying. And the more that you can do to prevent appearances, it's all about appearances. And like it or not, you might not like the idea, but that's how it is. And
Okay.
most of the
if people don't like it, then quit complaining and they can get together and come up with a better system. But
right?
here's the way I see it. I quite honestly, here's the way I see it. If I don't get in, it's one of 2 reasons. Either I applied to a show that's out of my league, I understand that, or my work didn't click with enough of the jury. Okay? It happens all the time.
I think that's, really the whole thing.
And I know that. And so
It's the work.
When I don't get in, one show doesn't bother me. Well, it does bother me because it bothers everybody when you don't get in a show. But when I start not getting in several shows, and this kind of happens in a cycle, then I have to step back and look at my work and what I'm shooting and what I'm showing, and look at everything and reevaluate everything. I think it is unreasonable to enter with the same images, the same style of work all the time, and expect to get into the same shows all the time with the same work. When you don't update your work, you don't update your jury images, you don't do any of that. So when I
That
don't
brings
get in,
another-
when I don't get
The
in,
direct,
I'm not gonna. The only person I have
The
to blame if I
directors-
don't get in is myself.
the directors know that. Like if you've been using the same work for 10 years, the directors can see right away.
Well, and then the dates on your images.
Well, no, it's
You
not.
can change that.
But
You can make it any date you want.
2040.
instead of owning up and
Yeah, you
saying,
can
hey,
apply with next year's work.
instead of saying, hey, my work needs to be improved, or I need to do something about my jury images or my application or whatever, instead of looking at that and saying I need to improve, I'm going to sit back and say, oh, well, it's all biased juries. That's bullshit. I'm sorry. That's what it is. When you start blaming biased juries because you don't get into art shows, it happens. And it's going to happen with the promoters that are for profit. It's going to happen, with all these shows that the promoters do for profit, and they've got their favorite artists. They're going to let them in. So yes, it does happen there, but the majority of artists that I know that have juried, that are jurors, it just doesn't, they go out of their way to be unbiased.
It's impossible to be unbiased.
What's that?
It's impossible to be unbiased.
You're right. It is impossible.
So
But, they try, they do the best they can. So unless you have some type of machine learning, artificial intelligence that can do an unbiased job at scoring these images, it's the best system we have.
AI would never understand the nuance of art.
And even AI would be biased depending upon what images you feed it and tell it what's good and what's not.
Right.
I mean, I've dealt with bias because people don't like black and white photography.
Right.
I've dealt
So,
with, I mean, I had a
jewelry-
show. I called a show and I got an email, and I don't even think I solicited the email, but I got an email from the show director that flat out said, our jurors this year didn't like photography and they only accepted the minimum number of photographers.
That's bullshit.
Otherwise, I probably would have gotten in. They didn't come right out and say that, but that's what they told me, and that's what they kind of hinted at. If they had taken more than the bare minimum, you would have gotten in. But
They should not have taken your money. They should not have taken your money then. That's not fair.
no, but
you should be able
but
to
they
jury something. You should be able to jury something that you might not want to hang in your house, but you could appreciate it for its skill, for the voice of the artist, all of that. And that's what a juror should do. Not like with jewelry, people jury it like as far as what they would wear, like they're going shopping. Well, a lot of people don't see jewelry as art, and so that's a whole nother problem. But
there are biases. There are biases, and there are biases that I think are bigger problems than, somebody's going to let a friend in. I just don't, I've talked to too many artists that are jurors, and it just doesn't happen.
I just give you the line of the the
Right.
view from.
It's
the
about
other side.
appearances. Okay. So, okay, Oscar. So how do we fix it? How do you get rid of those appearances?
But I just telling you what
Let
I hear.
Oscar be the juror.
I'm not arguing your point. Your point. You understand that you and I are on the same page, right?
Yeah, but I don't.
Oscar's sharing what he's heard other people, how they're thinking. And
Yeah,
some of it's sour grapes, some of it is, I could jury to a show, and they know that, like, the style, of the work there, like, mine wouldn't fit maybe, or, I mean, it just might not appeal to that region. Like, certain regions might want something, I don't know, more grungy and industrial, where other places want more blingy, and so those are kind of natural set-in bias for different regions. And we can't, I mean, that's just the case. So people might be bitching about not getting into a show, but maybe that show is looking for jewelry that's more art rather than bling, for example.
And what I guess I take this whole thing personally, because I know half a dozen artists who are busting their ass on their own time, besides trying to do shows and everything else that it takes to do positive things for, other artists. And we got people running around, claiming that we control juries, and we're only letting people into, we control juries and we control who gets into shows. It's just blatant bullshit.
Listen, it's just noise. It's sour grapes, and some people feel better when they criticize others, and really just ignore it.
You cannot ignore it, Allison, because that's the true problem. Is like I don't. The only time, and I told that I how to say, want things to go the wrong direction, and want people to be thinking something else opposite about what is not happening. You want people to feel comfortable with that. And quite honest with you, the NIA did the biggest. I put this in the order in my group. It's like probably the biggest thing the NIA did for me recently was the helping getting the refunds from those shows. And that was a big part of them. And because once you apply to the shows, I was not thinking that you're going to get your money back, because to me, that was an exception to the rule. But
the thing is, NAIA may do certain things for us, but we have to support it to keep it going. So, it goes both ways. So it's not just that the organization works for us. I mean, we have to, maybe contribute our time if we can, support the organization. The truth is, we cannot control what other people think. And
Right now, Oscar, we've got
what?
There are going to be ads aimed at buyers, at the general public, urging people to go to art shows and buy art. I don't remember what markets those are dropping in offhand. And there were some questions, if they were going to get done if we were going to be able to get everything done in time to get them out there.
And Court, I did message you about.
I got
working
that,
on a
and
project.
one of the problems we have, Allison, right now, we don't even have anybody to coordinate if we get volunteers.
Well, then I have an idea. Anyone who's interested in volunteering, if if the NAIA has a Zoom meeting, invite those people to the Zoom meeting and let it kind of flesh itself out.
That's on our list. That's on our to-do list.
Okay.
But we are running.
I told you guys, if I had the time, I'm happy to help you guys. So it's not nothing. because I think that most of the people that are in the group are friends of mine in the chamber.
We're running 6-second non-skippable ads on YouTube in a couple of targeted markets for shows that I think are this coming weekend. If we got everything set up to run them. We're also planning on targeting a bigger area with these ads. These ads, there's also a longer version that are available to shows. That would be a 30-second TV spot that shows could provide to their local media sponsors to run as a 30-second TV spot to promote their show. But in reality, what it is the tagline on the ads is from our hands to your home. And it's to encourage people to buy art at art shows.
No, you don't need a volunteer coordinator to get volunteers, by the way.
I know.
mean,
and we're running that in some different markets to see if it helps at all.
Hey, I have a
you
question.
have,
I have a question for Laura. Wake up.
Hey, I'm listening.
Laura, do you ever sell your work at galleries?
I am in the Kentuck Gallery in Tuscaloosa, and I haven't sold much there. I don't know. I've switched out the price point, so
I'm
I don't
asking
know.
for Emily.
Uh,
Oh, yeah,
I
thank you.
was, I was in Artists Incorporated in Leeds, Alabama, and I had to go and work there multiple times during the year, like 12 times, and it was run by artists, but they were mostly artists who had, well-off spouses and didn't really know how to sell. And so all that work just gave me what I would make at one show in a whole year. So I haven't really pursued the galleries much except being in Kentucky. It's hard to keep enough work made for shows and galleries, in my opinion. I'd be open to it if I found a gallery that would really sell too. But they don't seem to sell as much as I do, and I still feel like I'm still new at learning how to sell.
I agree with you. As far as galleries, sometimes it's a place to warehouse your work.
Yeah.
And you need it for shows. So and everybody, when they want your work, I mean, some people are lucky enough that galleries would buy their work, but I know not mine. And oh, we love your work so much, right?
Then
But
buy it.
Hold on. Hold on. A gallery should be a retail store run like a business.
Exactly. Somebody needs
Which
to be
means,
selling.
no, hold on a second. There used to be, well, there is, but there used to be a trade show where I would go, and all the galleries would come through, and I'd have a minimum order, and they'd have to buy the work. For me, in 35 years, I've only had 2 consignment galleries that actually worked. Now, 2D is different than 3D for some reason. They won't buy the work, but it also depends on, this is an economic term, is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? If it's a seller's market, then they're forced to buy the work. If it's a buyer's market, wait, I might have that backwards. I don't know. If it's a buyer's market, it doesn't matter, and anybody will take your work, but they're not.
of course,
They're not investing anything in it. So what the hell?
right.
They'll take your work, make them look good. What do they care? Look at, how many times that I've done a consignment gallery where you walk in like a year later, haven't talked to them, and they go, "Oh, we just sold 3 or 4 pieces." Baloney. They've sold the stuff during the year and we're not good enough or smart enough or business-like enough to pay you.
I used to have to chase down places many years ago. I had as many as 10 galleries, and I remember one gallery was selling a lot of my work each month, but they were buying other people's work. So I said, well, buy my work, otherwise I'm going to take my work out. And so I ended up taking my work out because it's a free loan. Now, on the other hand, I have had very good consignment galleries where it's a good relationship, there's a lot of communication, they pay on time, and that's fine. But it sounds like, Laura, it sounds like that was like a cooperative gallery and maybe a
Yeah.
social sort of
Yes, and
situation.
I don't think any of them were hungry.
Right,
They
right.
didn't have to
Socialism
sell their
doesn't
work.
work.
Yeah,
Socialism doesn't work.
I was
They
hungry.
figured that out in 1785 or whatever year it was. It doesn't work.
I do.
I've been,
Ironically, I've got low power.
I mean, I've been in a co-op gallery many, many years ago, and it worked for me when it did. And then, you know, and the percentage was higher
Maybe
for
if
the
you live
artist.
there.
Yeah, 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 that's where I live. So, you know, it varies,
There you go.
but, you know,
I mean,
like a gallery asked me for some work this fall, and, you know, I've been killing myself all year making work, and it's like, well, I need it for the rest of the season. So, but it's also, galleries want to buy safe work, it seems.
My
if they're
work
gonna
is not
buy
safe.
it.
Yeah.
it depends.
Neither is
No,
mine.
no. Depends on their clientele.
Yeah.
Hey, Barry,
Ironically,
do you know,
sorry.
oh,
Oh, yes.
Barry, do you know of a ceramic artist, Jack Masson from Western
No.
Massachusetts?
No.
Eric's mom bought his work in the 70s, and we have it now, but he told us that it used to be that a trailer would come through, a gallery, and they'd like pick out the work they want and just write a check. And you know, once a year they'd come through and they'd come to his home studio and do that.
Yeah, that's a anomaly. That's not, I've never heard of that. And I mean,
In the
look at
70s, maybe.
there. I addressed this specifically for you, Allison, because at one time the ACC Baltimore, there was the jewelers were in a room, and they would sell. I mean, the ring, they'd be doing gold, so they would be selling $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 pieces, and people, and yes, and galleries would buy it. In fact, the best galleries were the ones that actually figured that out, because jewelry was half their sales. When we had a jewelry was half our sales.
Right, it takes up little space, but could generate a lot of money.
It's just like when you walk into a department store and makeup is, cosmetics is like right there. There's a reason for that. It sells the best. So, I just want to add one more thing about the consignment versus the other thing. And so I actually I stopped doing the ACC show when they quadrupled the amount of artists and doubled the price, and the galleries started waning. There were less galleries. And I talked to people, so it changed. If artists wanted to sell their work or be in their gallery, it was all consignments. And I know people who actually, and what happens is, if they go out of business, if they declare bankruptcy, you're shit out of luck. You're losing your work. And I know people that lost $100,000 worth of artwork from doing that. And that's when it changed over. I still wouldn't do it. Look at, and Allison, to another thing to your point, if the gallery wants the work, they'll pay for it. If they really want it,
I'm just saying
Yeah.
I'm just saying there are exceptions to the rule. Like, I have worked with galleries where it works out, and the most recent one was in Cleveland, and then I had my work, like, after the pandemic, I had my work there for a year and nothing sold, and we both agreed. I loved working with her, though. I mean, and so she was a very good business person and very conscientious, but so we ended that, and it's too bad, because we both liked working with one another. But it really pardon?
What was the gallery and where was it?
Oh, in Cleveland. There's a building downtown that's mostly Cleveland businesses. It looks like almost, what do you call those? Like in Paris with the glass ceilings.
Tower City.
Like an arcade.
Tower City. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Our gallery was in Cleveland on the east side. So I know the scene.
She used to do she used
Go
to do
on.
very well for me, you know,
Yeah.
and then everything was closed and her windows got bashed in, but nothing was destroyed. And then, you know, afterwards it just changed. So,
Yeah.
but I'd work with her again in a minute because,
Yeah.
you know, she was pleasant to work with. And the freedom with consignment for me is I can send what I want. I find that when when galleries buy my work, they buy the most conservative things. So, you know, it's anyway.
It might
You know,
start out that way.
I'm not against it, but it's something to be wary of. And also, if like you get all these compliments, that would make me like, oh, we love you, you know, that kind of thing. But there's like here in Santa Fe, there's galleries that want exclusivity, so I couldn't even do it because I sell my work here, and you know, I'm not going to hobble myself.
Okay, so I'm interested in this. In Santa Fe, you can't have a gallery represent you and sell you the work yourself.
Oh no, you can. It is dependent on the gallery. There's a particular gallery I know of that has exclusivity. So it's a gallery by gallery basis. It's not like there's some big rule or anything.
No, I know.
Yeah. So any gallery that would want to work with me, I would be honest right up front and say, I also sell my work. Look, if somebody came to me and said, I saw your work in that gallery, I'd send them to the gallery. You know, I mean, in all fair, plus the gallery would have different things that I would have. I never have the exact same thing. But so that's something that I'm just aware of, and I wouldn't want to ruin my ability to sell my work, which is how I make my living. So
Yeah. I
you
have
know,
two galleries that I sell to, you know, and we do, and it's good, and we keep in contact. But then there's one local one that's consignment, and that's okay because I'm right there, you know. I mean, and they're friends of mine. I mean, I can walk in there and say, oh, that's sold, you know. I mean, I don't have a problem with the local one, and also I can take the work out of there, but I don't really like to do that because they're my friends, and the gallery's got to look nice.
mhm.
Not that I would make them look good, but you know, you don't want to take
Well,
your work out, like, you know.
I've always
So
been a stickler if they're selling the work and they're not paying. And I remember
yeah,
there was a
no
gallery,
kidding.
there was a gallery I was in Albuquerque years ago, and
Yeah,
they did pretty well with my work. And um they were not paying me on time, and I sent them a formal letter saying, you know, as part of our agreement, you know, your pay every 30 days or whatever. And I said, if this continues, then I'm going to have to take my work out. And it continued, and I took my work out, and
yeah,
they couldn't help themselves. I mean, they were buying. I had friends whose work they bought, and mine was
yeah.
consignment, and they were selling it. And so it's like, forget that. I don't need to be a bank.
And guess what happens?
I
That's a
took my,
red flag. They're going out of business.
but
You
they're
don't
still
do
in
that.
business. They're still in business, which is
Really?
crazy.
Oh,
Yeah, I would
God,
never do
really?
business with them. But you're right.
That's
Like
terrible.
I've had other galleries where, like every gallery that I hunted down, and believe me, I got paid by everyone. You know, those
Yeah,
galleries usually went out of business within a year. You know, I mean, I once took work back from a gallery because I heard some mutterings, and I ended up getting like they had a post-dated check. They owed me like $1,100 or something. You know, I got back only a few pieces, and
yeah,
I'm glad I did. I mean, they didn't go out of business right away, but you know,
yeah,
it's scummy because they're basically loaning your money interest free, and it's just not right. You know, if we're running businesses and they want to keep our money, then they should be paying interest.
yeah.
And
You know, I'm okay with that if they pay. You know, they get a hold of you every month, and there's some communication. It almost doesn't have
communication,
to be every month. Yeah, and they're not scamming you because you know what?
right?
They're not paying you because their cash, you know, their cash flow is not good. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times what happens is they sell something to pay somebody else, but their stash of available funds starts shrinking, and they get to a point where they don't have the money. So
Mm-hmm.
so you got to be careful. You got to, watch that or be aware of
Yeah.
the
I knew of a
possibility.
gallery. I knew of this gallery in Oakland. They owed a friend of mine something like $5,000. And
Oh,
and
that's
I
nothing.
talked to them about it, and they're like, we just don't have the money. It's like, fuck you. You sold the work, and my friend still stayed with the gallery. I mean, I would have stayed until I got paid, but I can't do business that way. It'd make me too stressed out. And it's just wrong. It's like you're providing all the materials, the skills, the labor, making the work, putting it in their gallery. It's a free
Well,
loan. And yes, the gallery is spending money on their rent, their insurances, and all of that, but it's supposed to be a partnership. So they need to pay on time.
hey,
Otherwise,
it's
and
more
if they
bait.
have no, oh, and if they don't carry insurance, no deal then.
It's more big. Listen, I have a story for every situation. That's really funny. Yeah, listen, it's really basic. If they sell the work, okay, so they mark it up. Let's say it's and let me tell you something. Break even on a regular gallery is 2.3. So if I sell them a piece for $100 or a consignment for $100, they have to sell it for $230 to break even. That's just fact. I know this because I ran the financial end of the business because you have sales, you give your best customers deals, so they'll come back. So for it to be like a normal 2.0 markup, it has to be more. It has to be a little
But
more.
however,
And
if they are consigning your work, they don't have the right to set the price.
that's another story. Okay.
Yeah.
But my point anyway, I got off track. The point is, if you sell it for $100 and they sell it for $200 and they need to pay you right away, give you that money right away. It's your money that they took. Their money is the other $100. If they start getting into trouble when they don't do that right away. Why how do they deal with that? They keep track of it. It's another sign of their business being good or bad. They have to keep track of it, and so that they pay you. They pay everybody at the end of the month or whatever. And they got to watch, their bottom line because the inventory is a certain amount. It's like you add it all up, and this is their whatever it is, their assets. This is their assets. But if they if they're not making money, they're digging into that inventory, the dollars. And sooner or later they have no money to pay. So they have to really keep track of it. And it starts, so the red flag is when they don't pay you, when they start not paying you on time. And and it behooves you to be on top of it because I'm serious. I know a couple of glass people that had $100,000 worth of work out, maybe more, and in galleries, and when the gallery goes out of business, or they declare bankruptcy, you can't get that back. It's in it's theirs, and it goes, and the money when they sell it all off goes to the creditors, and even though you're the main creditor, you're not the main creditor. So the bank is the main creditor. So you're almost at the end, and you're going to get 10% on the dollar, and that's just every business is like that.
You can have something in your contract that says that you get paid first on bankruptcy, but I know contracts are only worth the paper they're written on.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. That you can write anything. Good luck getting it because you have to sue for it. And there's specific things in law, that protects them from you. So, it's that's why I don't do consignment unless I really know them well. To your point about insurance, I had a show at a gallery, and afterwards they said, "Oh, can we keep some of the work?" And there was a contract, and I didn't read the contract till I got home, and it said in the contract, they're not responsible for breakage or general use. What's general use? How does something sitting in a gallery get used? It's like, oh, I had turned right around and drove back and got the work. And I chastised myself for not reading the contract. So you know, these things you got to read, you got to deal with. You know, that was my bad for not reading the contract. But I mean, they try and do this, like, you know, okay, they're not hey, they have the work in their place. They're responsible to make sure that people don't come and break it. And if they do break
The other
it,
thing,
they got to pay for it.
the other thing is they, you know, often give you the contract right then and there. Like I'd rather get a contract ahead of time, you know, so I could read it at home, you know, but
Yeah.
often it's like very, although I do have my own contract as well, but, you know, that's always kind of a, you know, you're under the gun to read the contract right then and there.
Well, it's only time.
Emily, did
I
you
mean-
the person that had the pictures, the flowers and the traveling pictures, or that was somebody else? The paintings last week
I'm sorry, were you talking to me?
to Emily.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, say it again?
Who was the person that have the flowers and the traveling picture paintings last week? That was you?
The traveling paintings?
No.
Yeah.
He's talking about,
my
you know, the images on the wall that we
Oh, yeah, the flowers?
created.
Yeah, flowers, and they had flowers and then travel images.
Right, yeah, like landscapes,
Yeah.
travel.
That was
yeah.
that was you?
That was me.
I couldn't talk last week because I was driving.
Oh,
But-
right.
If you do from personal experience, you need to put or just put just the flowers or just put the travel and don't
Oh,
combine them.
no, okay, no, that's not Emily. I know who
That's
he's
not Emily?
talking about.
Oh, no, yeah, we had the talk with the other woman.
Yeah,
Who
that
is,
lady that
the
does
person-
the stain on the wood.
right, right.
Okay.
Yeah, that was,
So sorry, but
Never
whoever
mind.
was doing that should honestly it should be just one or the other one. It cannot be both,
He knows that. We've had that discussion.
you know. Because it now looks really bad.
I
Oh, my
agree.
goodness.
Hey, it's funny. Sometimes I think I can sneak in some functional work along with my other work. And one year in Florida, I brought functional pots and I kind of displayed both of them together. Now, nobody said anything. None of the shows said anything. But just a couple weeks ago, and it would, and I didn't sell any of the functional pots, and nobody even looked at them. And I thought, wow, that's really weird. I didn't know that. Well, it just turns out a couple weeks ago, I'm doing a show and I'm talking about, yeah, maybe I'll do something, a different, thing. And he goes, yeah, I remember when you did that. Those were horrible. So, and I'm thinking, I wish they would have I wish my friends would have told me that, when they were sitting there, because you need a perspective. So I don't, that's like a little funny anecdotal thing, but, since we're talking about having two different bodies of work in the same booth, it just reminded me of that experience. Tell me, don't you want to know if you're showing your work and it's like, oh my God, that's, your friend should tell you. It's like having bad breath, you want to know that you have bad breath. So anyway, a little side story there.
5:00, I gotta go. Good
Okay.
talking. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Too
Yeah.
late.
Hey, it's 5:00 somewhere.
It's not 5:00 yet.
I'm going to go because my hand is not happy right now.
Very good.
What does that mean? Use your other hand. Oh no, that's terrible.
Yeah, it's
But
not happy right now. So
What'd you do to yourself?
I had reconstructive surgery on my thumb to fix the missing cartilage that wore out from use and age.
Really?
I have screws and a plastic spacer.
Yeah. Well, feel
Hey,
better.
you're going to make Bonnie happy.
Yeah, she's already seen it. So
Oh,
we'll see everybody later.
big
All right.
A.
Okay.
Bye,
Bye.
Corey.
Bye.
Bye.
So I'm contemplating applying to less shows, but the problem is you never know what you're going to get into.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking about not applying to Old Town this year. I have a good clientele, but I kind of feel like maybe they need to miss me a little bit. And it's 18 hours to get there. If I fly, there's the whole tent rental situation, which is a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
So, and I thought, well, so 18 hours, it's like a day and a half to 2 days. So it's 4 days round trip. I could do in June 4 of the Saturday artist markets, and I might be on the wait list once. So maybe I would end up with 3. And you know, even if I make less money at home, I don't have the expenses. So that's what I'm contemplating. I mean, and then it's hard though, because I like the show, and again, I have like good clientele, but you know, maybe I tell them I'm doing less shows this year and something like that.
Yeah, it's a personal choice.
Yeah. I mean, if I had gotten in automatically, I totally would have done it. That's what I said to myself. But yeah, it's kind of a hard decision. You know, it's really a guessing game.
What happens if you
But
get to Lakefront?
I don't think I'll be applying to
Hello?
Lakefront. If Lakefront's happening, I could teach like on
Oh,
the way to
no.
Chicago.
Hello?
Allison, I want to see you at every show that I do.
I don't do that many. Well, I did a lot of shows this year, but it was too many. Well, you know, if you do too many and
Hey,
they're
it's fine.
it really brings down your average, you know.
Oh, no.
But I did a couple of these Saturday markets
I need a
recently, and
credit card
they
number.
were pretty good. I mean, so you know, they're $100 to do. It's 5 hours on a Saturday, and
I would do that in a
you know,
second.
I think maybe I should nurture the local. And it's the thing is, I meet people from all around the world, so it's not like
Yeah.
everyone is just local. But I've
Why
been
is that a
working
choice?
on, because you know, I could have a 0 show too. I mean, I'm not going to get the windfall I could from a good show in general.
All right.
So you know, people aren't expecting to spend that kind of money, but I'm working on
go ahead.
my responses
You,
to all
you
of that.
never know.
Right, it's true.
No.
It's true.
I always
The
look
thing
at
is,
it as
I
risk
love,
reward.
yeah. I mean, I love
You know?
going to Chicago, but
That's
yeah,
a
it was a little
reward.
disappointing.
That's
It
all
was
I need.
disappointing last year.
But the
So,
labor,
No.
hey,
Um,
listen, I think
I
we're
have
headed
a
for,
question.
I hope this is not the case,
Can
but
you shoot
if the
one or
last
two of the
month is any
pieces from the
indication,
opposite
we're
direction?
we're in for like a little hard time again.
well, you know, we
Okay.
might be on the precipice of World War III for all we know.
Nah.
So, okay, well, that's very optimistic of you. Um,
Well,
Because
it would
listen,
help
and
that it would help that the average Palestinian would realize that their problem is Hamas, not any other entity.
mhm, yeah.
yeah, but the
To
problem
me,
is Hamas kills them and they don't go with Hamas rules.
look at you can't even dissent there; they would kill you. You know, they keep everybody
And
in line.
they're not even feeding them. You know, they're not doing anything for the infrastructure. So
I
anyway,
know.
but that's a
That's
different
right.
conversation.
Yeah. Well,
In
it's
any
one that's
case,
on my mind.
yeah, it's a scary year ahead, you know, election year. And although I know there's a vote coming up, and you know, maybe we won't have to worry about a Republican as Speaker of the House. In the next, no, in January, it could be, you know, it's a whole new
Hey.
class. So
You I
No.
want to make a joke, but I'm afraid it'll be
Yeah.
taken wrong. But hey,
And
what's wrong with
and we're
Jim
being
Jordan?
and we're being recorded, so
Oh, I
Um,
don't care about. I
oh,
don't care about
you
that.
mean the side, the besides the fact that he wants to overthrow the government and hates democracy.
Yeah, I'm being
Anyway,
facetious. I'm being facetious.
yeah. So,
Yeah,
but anyway, so yeah, maybe. I mean, I still like I did apply. I applied to Brookside, but that's not as long of a drive. I've got a friend to stay with, and I'm I've been invited to teach along, and I could teach along the way also. Um,
Cool.
so it just, I don't know. I mean, because it's an election year, I'm just maybe more, and I do have this local opportunity, which I have not nurtured. So, maybe it's time to do that, and then
Yeah.
next year apply to, the places that I did this year. I don't know. But I kind of want to tell my clientele from that area, that maybe I've decided to do less shows this year. So, if you're here, come visit. Otherwise, hope to see you the year after or something like that. Because,
Hey,
I don't want them to think I got rejected.
hey, Allison. Hey, Allison.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
I don't understand why you're not totally embracing the Santa Fe thing, because um there's all these tourists there, and so the clientele changes every week, so you have a new
Right.
chance to and your overhead is so low, and
Right.
the amount of labor is not, it's not even in the same ballpark. So I that's what I would do, that if I had that opportunity. And the hell with these
Yeah.
shows.
Well, the thing is, I've got very good very good clientele, across the country. So it's important to nurture
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
And, so it's, I guess, kind of a balance. And then, so yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but there may not be a windfall locally where at a show I have the chance to make more because people go to art fairs kind of, the art fair is once a year, and there's the mentality of, I'm going to buy something at the art fair. So,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Mhm.
it's the same thing with installations for me. I can make a living out of installations, but
Uh-huh.
I make more money with the art shows.
Right.
Well, then that's what you do.
You know,
Hey,
but
listen,
it's a
I had
good balance.
I did a show last weekend that I definitely am not going back. I'm
Mhm.
not going back. But I had somebody
Yeah.
come, and they said, they bought last year and they bought this year, and they said, well, we'll buy another piece next year. And I hate to give that up, but I'm not going to go do this show there's no way I'm going to do it.
Mhm.
You
But,
know?
the question is, and I think, I can't remember, did you say you don't keep a mailing list?
Well, I don't, because I'm lazy.
Well, so those are the people, like the mailing list to me, I mean, I nurture mine very much. And so, maybe skipping a year. I mean, if I were to get in anyway, you never know. But maybe skipping a year
Look at
is a good idea.
jewelry's different. You know what? Jewelry's different because women might have 30 or 20, 30 pieces of yours. They're not buying, after 2 or 3 pots. That's it. Except for on occasion, there are people that have 10 and 20 and 30, but that I can count that on one hand. Whereas I bet that you have a lot of women that have a lot of your work.
Well, they're not necessarily all women, but I don't know,
Okay.
about 20, 30 pieces. I think that
Even
Larry,
10.
mute yourself. Larry, mute yourself.
Oh, sorry. I'll mute myself.
Oh, thank you. What a good idea. Um,
True.
but
True that.
it's the truth is, like, for me, it takes time to build, a relationship with a customer, and somebody might be looking at my work for years before they buy, and seeing me in person is helpful. But during 2020, those people on my mailing list bought online. And so, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess the thing is, when you have all these shows booked, you have the promise of actually making sales, the promise, not any guarantee. Where if you don't have things booked, then it's like, how am I going to make money this month? Or, and so it's
Yeah.
left a little ambiguous. I mean, I am teaching, I scheduled an online workshop for January. So, that's like one thing at least I have for January going. But every year it seems like, well, I never know if I'm going to ever make a sale again.
Yeah. See,
And,
I believe, see, I don't have that problem because
mhm.
I believe that no matter where I go, I'm going to sell something, you know.
Okay. Yeah. But because of that mailing list that I've nurtured, I don't know, who's reading my emails, who's thinking, about, I don't know, maybe buying a major piece. And, it's so
Mhm.
random. And yet, if I look at the history, of my business, things like that usually happen at some point. So, yeah.
It's too bad that ACC Baltimore, I mean, it exists, but it's a shadow of what it was. It's too bad that doesn't exist the way it used to, and you could do that because there you would sell to galleries that would be used to paying. I mean, I think all these New York New York jewelers and East Coast jewelers do it, and the people that buy the work are used to paying the money, and you'd feel so much better doing this.
Well, I did
You don't have
Baltimore
that thing.
twice,
Yeah.
and I didn't even break even.
Well, I'm talking about in the 70s, not 70s, in the
But now,
80s
so
and 90s, really the 90s.
the last time I did it, there were like 400 jewelers. And the thing is, there was a lot of,
That's terrible.
that was a lot of really good work. But yeah, exactly. Which is why I prefer the fine art and craft shows, because once you have 2D work, you have a greater variety. And then there's serendipity. The person who's there at a show wanting a painting, they don't know from my jewelry and they might see it. And that's why I do miss, have you noticed there's not that many art and craft galleries anymore? They're much more singular.
Yes. They don't
so
exist.
they either carry jewelry or they carry ceramics, and there's not I love the mix, because then you get the serendipity. Somebody who's into woodworking might, see jewelry.
You're right.
So
we had 200 artists. We had 200 artists, and we had every medium, including painting.
Yeah, I think it makes it interesting. I mean, the variety. If it's all jewelry, then it's like, I mean,
it's called,
I don't know.
It's called the Amazon Walmart effect.
Oh.
No, actually, that would be if you carried just low end stuff. But if you carried more expensive things, a wide range of prices, so there's a certain exclusivity to a gallery that carries a bunch of different things. And what you do as a gallery owner, you even go to art fair, you do the trade show, but you go to art fairs to find that one person that nobody knows about who's really good. I mean, in terms of wholesale, and that actually gives your gallery an image. But the Walmart effect you're talking about, we never did it like that. I wouldn't do that.
No,
I wanted to.
In the last 10 years, if you go around looking around the places that are driving small businesses, the one that specialize in things, they don't have a big inventory. It's a niche. If you don't have a niche store, you're not going to do well. That's the trend right now.
When we had a gallery that was the 1990s, I think we ended up closing in 2002, 2003. So I'm talking about the way it was, not the way it is. So, and I don't know about the way it is. So yeah, although I sell to two galleries. Listen, I sell to two galleries that have all different kinds of work, and and they buy the work every year. I've had 5-year relationships with both of them, and they buy in the spring. And if they need to reorder, they got to let me know in advance. But yes, you're right. Those are few and far between. Unfortunately, I really wish it was the way it was again. It's actually an opportunity. If somebody had the money and knew what to do, it'd be great to do that, because there's a void of that, and those galleries can do really well. You know.
Mm. Oh my God. What's wrong?
I don't know, but Oscar, tomorrow is the day whether we continue our careers or go out or decide to go work as a greeter at Walmart.
Why?
That's the Coconut Grove results come out tomorrow.
Oh,
And the thing that bothered me was when Camille said, "Oh, they had 300
Potters.
artists that got perfect scores."
I don't
That
think
does
she
not
said perfect scores.
That's
really?
that's what I
That's
Did you
what
go
I
back
thought.
and
That's what
listen
Oscar.
to it, Oscar?
that's what I thought, and I went
Me
back and
too.
forth. I couldn't find the clip because I was in the middle of the show. But because I brought that to Robin, the jury, the show, and I brought that to Chris from the Rittenhouse, the director of the Rittenhouse, and he told me, "No, you must have misunderstood, or she might misspoke. That cannot be possible. It cannot
Well,
be possible."
it is possible if you get, if you have a certain level of juror. I don't know. I think Cindy Lyric was on the jury again, so I find that with her on the jury, that would be hard to, for that to be possible. But if that's the case, because there's always one person that doesn't like my work or doesn't understand it, so that that would eliminate me right away. So, and I really want to do the show because it sets up my whole Florida thing. If I don't get in there, then I got to make a decision whether I'm going to go or not go. Whereas if I get in, I know I'm going, so I can do shows around it.
I will
And
see what
listen,
happens.
yeah, I want to get out of the cold weather, so that's the reason for going down there.
All right.
Plus, I
So
get
you
to
want-
hang out with Oscar and Steve, and a bunch of have a bunch of fun, right, Oscar? Gonna have fun.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you could stay at Oscar's campground.
I'm going to. Well, he invited me.
I invite him.
He
Actually,
could take it back.
no, I was told that it was my turn this year.
Oscar, you're gonna have the kitties with you?
No,
Ah, okay. I thought you were gonna bring them.
no, it's I don't have. When I left for Philadelphia, it hit me that I don't have enough space to bring. Say that I get into Winter Park with the black and whites.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have a hard time bringing enough inventory with me for the season. So I'm going to have to figure out if I get to Winter Park, I'm delaying bring the trailer down until November. So if I get to Winter Park, I can bring some inventory down with me at that point.
Hey, Oscar, I'd
Yeah.
love to see you show those pieces. What I'm wondering is, could you go out and shoot some more journalistically relevant work to more work to fit into that category?
Yeah,
Or
I can. It's not a problem. I've been doing that, but it's not like I come to go every day out and shoot.
I know. You
I got two
would need a few
new
more.
ones this year already.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it has to be a situation, and you just have to be right there for the situation. Yeah.
I probably can do it in the holidays in Chicago. I'm going to go out and photograph in the holidays because there's more. Hopefully, it will be.
Are you going to apply in two categories or two bodies of work? I mean,
I applied the winter park you can only apply to one. If it's photography, you only can set an image of photography, a set of image. You cannot do it with two photographers. For
I like that work. I like the journalistic work so much better, so much more, because it tells a story. It it captures a moment, and it
Yeah,
says
I don't know.
something.
But his other work creates a feeling.
Yeah,
So,
well, I'm not
you
talking
know,
about
they're totally,
sales.
totally different, but I mean,
It's a different clientele.
so like, Oscar, are you gonna apply to Cherry Creek?
It's
Or did
already
you?
done.
Did you apply with two different bodies of work then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So it'll be
What
interesting
if
to
you
see
get
what
in?
happens.
What if you get into these shows with your black and white socially relevant work and not the other work in most of the shows? Well, what's going to happen then?
Oh,
I
it
guess,
depends what show it is,
yeah, yeah. I
If
guess
I
it'll
don't have nothing
depend
else
on. It
competing
was
with
like
Cherry Creek,
I shouldn't ask that question. You need to
if I get
figure
into
it out.
Cherry
You need
Creek
to
with the black
deal
and
with it when
white, I
that
do
happens.
I
Cherry
would
Creek
say,
with the
what
black
if
and
you
white.
don't get in?
If I don't get in, at least I try, That's
Yeah,
the only thing. It's not a
Well,
big
there's
deal.
not a whole lot of photojournalists out there doing, showing their work.
So I showed it to Jana this week, and she said that her concern is that I'm gonna sell as well as the color stuff.
Well, show it to Lisa Christine and have and see what she says.
Well, I don't have any relationship with her, so I can't even.
I know. I was making a point, not her
Yeah.
not necessarily her specifically, but I mean that's what she does, even though they're in
Yeah.
color and they're large and stuff like that. She's very approachable.
I know.
You can talk to her at Coconut Grove.
Assuming if I get in.
That's a, I mean, yeah. She's next to me at the Grove, so
So no, I applied with the black and white to Fort Worth, Our Sphere, Cherry Creek has the black and white and color. Both
wow, you're really
set.
going for it. I applaud you.
So, and then I told Jana what I was doing it. I just want to rub it in the face of some people. That's kind of personal.
Ooh,
Yeah,
ooh,
it's personal now.
I'm not going to ask you why. Maybe privately, we'll talk about it.
I
Anyway,
just want to rub it in some people's faces.
yeah. Oh, this is great.
I just doing it just for ego, just to be honest with you.
That's good. That's okay.
It's the first time
So-
I'm doing something just for just to shut up people.
Hey, it's the reason. It's the first reason why I like doing Fort Worth and Cherry Creek. It's my ego. It's the hell with the sales. I feel really good being there.
Yeah.
I feel the
Makes you feel
opposite.
like
I just want to be able to make the sales. I'm actually all set up for Open Studios, which is this weekend and next weekend. And there's about 100 artists, but there's only about 7 jewelers. So if you look up jewelry, you can easily see my work. And it's not a walk by sort of situation. Sorry. It's, there's a preview gallery. So people have to want to come here. It's a destination. And so I've set up my cases as I do at an art fair, but then I have another case just with showpiece necklaces. And then with each necklace, I put an artist statement, like what the piece was inspired by, more
Yeah,
like a museum kind of thing. So we'll see.
Uh-huh.
And then because jewelry is so small, I was trying to think, well, how to keep people here. Because I know when people walk into a studio, it could be awkward because it's not a store. And so I have another area, like there's a couch over there that faces this way, and I've got some books on the table, and I'll have cookies and refreshments over there. And I might have like an iPad with some videos going of my process. But
Yeah.
I find that it's important that people sort of, when they come in, sometimes they have to kind of get grounded before they actually go look at the work. And so
Yeah.
I want to give them a lot of different places to look.
That works too.
So we'll see. I had a guest in my studio last year, which was fantastic. You know, she was a painter, so that worked out nicely. But the registration was so early this year that like people couldn't decide things. So, but you know, sometimes when it's on your own, it's just all about my work. So we'll see. But it's a slow sort of event, but it's so easy. All I have to do is wake up and come down here. And it starts at 11 o'clock, 11 to 5. You couldn't get better hours.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, it's inexpensive and, you know, worthwhile for 2 weekends. So, and I find that people are willing to spend more money in my studio than out on the street at
Yeah.
the artist market that I do. Although I really want to change that.
It's cool to come to an artist studio.
Yeah, I think so. There's so many here. I mean, like from September through the end of October, every single town, like all around, there's tons of them. And there's the Balloon Festival, which is a big thing in Albuquerque. You know the
Yeah, I see that. Got a friend of mine lives in Albuquerque, and he loves that.
yeah.
It's
I have not
actually-
seen it yet.
Yeah, his dad it was a doctor, and my mom used to work for him.
Ah,
So she was the nurse. It's a
Mhm.
kind of, so we know each other since babies,
ah,
same age.
uh-huh.
So gotta you know, and you know, there was the conversation came out again about like why not in the groups anymore this weekend, and I just thought that it came out. I finally realized that I just don't like and it comes to the jury process, the same thing. Like it makes it weird. Like it's kind of hard to be how you take an opinion of a person that doesn't understand your medium 100%, and
Or at all.
or at all. It's
You
kind
know,
of
I've
hard
lived
to,
with that forever.
you know, and it's really hard to deal with the thing that if you go to school for art, you really knew that you wanted to be an artist from the get-go, and you make the choice of playing around with different areas before you went into the field. So it's a little bit different. That's what it came out from that conversation. So it's
Well,
kind of
guys, sorry to interrupt you. I gotta go. It's getting
okay.
dark. Gotta find a
It's
place. All
getting
right, I'll talk
dark.
to you guys.
Yeah,
Take care.
it's
Yeah,
5:30
it
and
probably is a good
Elvis
idea
is
because I
bugging
can eat
me.
lunch. I'm in dinner.
All right, I'll see y'all.
Big
Bye.
one. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. So I guess that's it for today.
Yeah, I will see you hopefully next week if I make it back in one piece from Virginia Beach.
Oh, well, I hope you'll make it back.
Yeah, it's kind of all the rumbling going around as the F-22 is flying above me.
Oh, like an air show, do you mean?
No, like at the F-22 from the Navy base that I'm nearby.
Oh, I see. Got it.
Yeah,
So they give you a ride home.
I would like to, especially if I can just getting one and powder for a little bit so I can push it over the sonic speed right over the city and destroy a couple of buildings in the process.
Yeah, and you need a fisheye lens so you can take pictures.
Or even better, go almost to the sun barrier between the buildings and just destroy all of them.
Been watching too many movies.
One of the
Well,
Oh,
did that in San Francisco.
I was just gonna say that, the Blue Angels,
Yeah,
and they would fly between buildings downtown,
yeah.
and the
They got in
sound,
trouble.
what?
They got in trouble.
Oh, yeah, they would go like between buildings.
no, if you
But
get a good speed, you can rumble the building. You will break most of the glass. You won't take the building down, but you can rumble the building.
Okay, you guys have a good week.
Yeah.
See you,
Take
everybody.
care.
Yeah,
Okay.
bye, everybody.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.